Imagine walking through a forest where the trees are leaning like they've had one too many drinks, or witnessing fires that just refuse to die, reigniting from the ashes like zombies. And what if I told you that beneath the Arctic ice, massive craters are forming, releasing ancient methane into our atmosphere? These aren't scenes from a science fiction movie. They're real consequences of climate change happening right now. Climate change is affecting our planet in countless ways, from rising sea levels to more frequent heat waves, but some of the impacts are less well known and quite strange. In this video, we'll uncover these bizarre phenomena and why they matter to you. Stay tuned and discover how these strange events could impact our world and what we can do about it. First, let's talk about drunken forests. These are areas where trees are tilting or leaning at odd angles, looking like they've had a bit too much to drink. Drunken forests occur in regions with permafrost, such as the Arctic and subarctic. As the permafrost thaws due to climate change, the ground becomes unstable and trees lose their solid footing. This process is called thermokarst, and it can cause the ground to sink or even collapse, creating a surreal and disorienting landscape.
Why are these trees leaning? The permafrost that had been giving them firm structure underneath has degraded, it's thawed out underneath, and so it's collapsing. I'm now down in the bottom of this drainage gully, and you can begin to see how the soil is even falling away through here. This kind of abrupt erosion, as you can see, is causing the trees to tilt in. The forest could eventually collapse on itself, and this will change rather dramatically in the next decade or so.
Drunken forests are a stark visual reminder of the impact of climate change on our planet. They disrupt local ecosystems as the shifting ground can damage tree roots and alter soil composition. This can have cascading effects on the plants and animals that depend on these forests. Additionally, the unstable ground can damage infrastructure, such as roads and buildings in nearby communities. Next up, zombie fires. These are wildfires that continue to smolder underground even after they seem to have been extinguished on the surface. They can survive the winter, hidden in the soil, and then re-emerge in the spring. Zombie fires occur in regions with peatlands or thick layers of organic matter, such as in the boreal forest.
It all starts with the initial wildfire, which then spreads into the underground peat layer. And although the cooler conditions later in the year may play a role in putting out the initial fire, it still continues to smolder below the surface. The fire can also spread not only deeper, but laterally too. Once the weather warms up, fires can come back to life where they first started, or even reappear in another location nearby.
Climate change is making these fires more common by creating drier conditions that allow them to keep burning. As temperatures rise and precipitation patterns change, peatlands and forests become more susceptible to fire. Once a zombie fire starts, it can be incredibly difficult to extinguish completely, as the smoldering can continue deep underground.
This out-of-control wildfire in the Northwest Territories was once dormant, smoldering underground for months, now sparked back to life.
As we move into spring and our fields start to dry out again, those fires almost wake back up.
Zombie fires have significant ecological and environmental impacts. They can destroy vast areas of habitat, releasing huge amounts of carbon and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This contributes to a positive feedback loop, where the emissions from the zombie fires further exacerbate climate change, leading to more frequent and severe wildfires in the future. Lastly, let's explore the mysterious methane craters appearing in the Arctic. These massive holes, some up to 100 feet deep and 60 feet wide, have been discovered in Siberia and other parts of the Arctic. They form when permafrost thaws, releasing methane that has been trapped in the frozen ground for thousands of years. As the methane accumulates, it can create a pressurized pocket that eventually explodes. Leaving behind a giant crater. The appearance of these craters is a worrying sign, as they indicate the rapid thawing of permafrost and the potential for large amounts of methane, which is a potent greenhouse gas, to be released into the atmosphere. Methane has a much higher global warming potential than carbon dioxide, meaning it can trap more heat in the atmosphere and accelerate climate change.
Giant craters were spotted in the north of Russia. They popped up out of nowhere in the Yamal Peninsula.
When I first heard about the crater, I didn't believe it. I actually thought it was a made-up story.
Believe me, I remember this date and I will remember it forever because it was absolutely exciting, something I have never seen before.
The formation of methane craters is a strange and dramatic example of how climate change is altering our planet in unexpected ways. As more craters are discovered, scientists are working to better understand their implications for the global climate system. So now you might be thinking, okay, these are strange, but what do they have to do with me? The truth is, these phenomena are indicators of the far-reaching consequences of climate change. Drunken forests disrupt ecosystems, which have ripple effects on global biodiversity and food chains. Zombie fires contribute to increased carbon emissions, accelerating global warming. And methane craters release powerful greenhouse gases, further exacerbating climate change. The impacts of climate change are interconnected and can have cascading effects on global systems, ultimately affecting everyone, both locally and far abroad. So what can you actually do about it? First, it's important to educate yourself further on climate change and its various impacts. Then consider making changes in your own life to reduce your carbon footprint. Here are 3 easy ways you can make a positive impact on climate change. You can reduce your energy consumption, you can use sustainable transportation methods, and you can support climate-friendly policies and leaders. And I'd encourage everyone to look into who is driving the climate agenda forward in your local area. But I'd also like to hear from all of you. Have you noticed any strange climate change impacts in your own community? Let me know in the comments below. So we've learned about 3 strange impacts of climate change in this video: drunken forests, zombie fires, and methane craters. These phenomena might seem far removed from our daily lives, but they are important reminders of the urgent need to address climate change. Remember, no matter where you live, you have the power to make a difference. Let's be part of the solution and work towards a more sustainable future for our planet.